This is the PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar is for Shabbat. Today was Shabbat. Right now it's not Shabbat, but today was Shabbat. I don't record on Shabbat. But Shabbat, the 12th day of Tishrei of 5786. And it's also, right now it is October 4th of 2025. And the parsha today was Ha'azinu, which is Deuteronomy chapter 32, and the Daf Yomi, the daily page of Talmud today, is Daf Yomi, is Zvachim, tractate Zvachim, page 20. And what's really interesting about this calendar, it's meant to analyze time and information in a systematic way. I present it always as a theory of everything in calendar form. And it's an experimental work because I'm trying to find out if there's a pattern to how information is conveyed and things that happen in a sequential order. And I'm finding them every day on this calendar. And some of these findings are at least from how I see it, really amazing. How the box number matches that thing. It happens very often. So it's a solar and lunar calendar. It combines the sun and the moon through the Jewish and the Gregorian calendars, the Hebrew and Gregorian calendars. And for example, this gematriatic quantum thought process is, for example, this is how it would go. In this calendar, today is the 12th of Tishrei, and we are on box 12. It's not because it's the 12th day that we're on box 12, because it doesn't go in order. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number before 12 is 3, the number before it is 35. It goes by 8 plus 9, which is based on a verse in Leviticus. That's at a different time, but 12 is one of those interesting numbers that if you're on the 12th day, it happens to be you're in box 12. That happens also in the 30th, you're in box 30. Happens on the 14th. Happens on the 16th. And it's certainly just very simple arithmetic. It's just based on the way the calendar is made, like 8 plus 9, and starting the months from here, and then month 1, month 2, month 3. It's just going to come out that way that these numbers are on that date. So backtrack. Today was the 12th day of Tishrei, and it's going to be in box 12. Okay? And one of the rules in the PL-89 is that you see how there's purple, and this is called lavender. It might be violet, it might not be exactly lavender, but PL is purple lavender. That's one of the reasons why it's PL. There's many other reasons, but one of the reasons that these two boxes actually merge and become into one box. And it also supports the rule in Gematria, which is not my rule, I didn't make it up. There's a rule called Kol Elim, which means if there's two words and they both have numerical values and you're comparing them, then you can, let's say it's one off. Let's just say, let's say like Reuven and Shimon is equal to something, and then Ephraim and Manasseh is equal to one less. So the rule of Kolim says that the one that's one less can use the sum of either its own word or of its two words, and some say, as many words as it is, you can use that many as a point to sort of to even it up, to equalize it. That's Kol Elim. And so at first I thought that that's kind of like cheating, because it's like, if you want to get something exact and it's one off, it's not exact. But in recent times, I've been seeing a very good reason to have that wiggle room, that flexibility of being able to be one off. It's very important to have within my calculation, and I think it could be for many people would see this. It's good to have that flexibility for human error, or for anything happening that if you missed one and you're one off, it's not the end of the world. That flexibility for human error, or just for causes that we have no control over, gives me more credence, more credibility in, I'm not sure if that's the right way of using the word, but there's more credibility in Kohalim for me now. And so that concept of Kohalim also applies in these boxes, which means that if you're in day 12, then you can slide over and see, and it can be 312, because these two, if it's one over, it becomes like in Excel, you can merge the cell. So that's the basic rule, that you're always using that flexibility. So if I see here, I'm immediately always looking one over and one behind. That's part of the calculation process. Now, what's interesting is that today is Tishrei 12. And if you slide it one over, it goes not only this way, but you can also slide it over to here too. So 12 becomes 20. So it's 12:20 is today. And 12:3 is today. Either way, you can slide it over. What's very interesting, on the 12th of Tishrei, on the Daf Yomi calendar, we are actually in page 20 of Zvachim. So I don't know how that works. Like, that's what I mean. I didn't plan it. I didn't start the Daf Yomi calendar. I didn't make it that Zvachim 20 is going to be based on the PL-89. But based on the PL-89, the 12th day of Tishrei, and we're on page 20. So do you see where I'm going with this? I'm trying to take it further and trying to see, is there, this is just one manifestation, so to speak. This is just one outcome. This is just one result of a higher kind of mathematics that's going on. There's like a few programs running here, like there's another program that's running that's actually generating these numbers, and they filter down into this world. And so this is what the PL-89 calendar is supposed to do. It's supposed to tap into that. It's supposed to say, okay, we're locating that. We've identified that pattern. This is what's happening over here. That's what this program is doing. It's like, it's trying to, I'm using words that like, I'm not a computer scientist or like a programmer or anything, but like the word operating system, I think it's like there's an operating system that's running all these programs, and I'm trying to actually tap into the operating system. Maybe I'm just using an analogy, but I think you can see where I'm going with this. So basically, that's really amazing. How is it that on this calendar, and I'm not just finding it just today, I'm finding this every day, things exactly like this, where you're on the box and you see the box next to it, and a very relevant thing. For me, Daf Yomi is very relevant, maybe for a lot of people. It could be sports scores. It could be anything. It could be the stock market. But there's another question of how effective it can be for predicting, and if that would be, if there's some sort of rule that would prohibit anybody from truly discovering a predictive technology. A mathematical code that will predict everything, because then it can be used to predict the stock market. It can be used to I can go to the horse races, and I'll say, because this is number 3 and we're on PL-89 number 2, number 7 is going to win, and then lo and behold, it won. That would be amazing, right? I think people would really. The question is, can you tap into something like that? I'm going to say no. I would say whoever developed these operating systems, and whoever developed all these different programs, and whoever is allowing me to even tap into a little bit of it, is what I'm just demonstrating here, may allow only a certain level of predictability, but not this much in that you can just get as much money as you want by predicting whatever, and then and that. So that being said, back to the thing. So I really, if you could just check up on the calendar. You could see what was the daf for October 4th. You're going to see that it was a Vachim 20. But according to the law of the PL-89, box 12 is actually considered box 20. So, I'm repeating myself. So I'm just really excited by that because, I didn't make it up. I'm seeing it happen. So I would love for you to comment on the mathematical phenomenon of this. Of how this happens. I'm very curious to hear what you think, how that works. But okay, enough about that. Going to that was the lunar side. On the solar side, which is represented in the Gregorian calendar, it's the 4th day of October, which always is going to be in box number 24. Okay, box number 24. So this is always going to be 1. This was October 1. This is October 2, October 3, October 4 in dispensation 3. There's 3 dispensations. That's a whole other thing. I can explain at a different time. But we're in dispensation 3 right now. And when you click into a dispensation, it basically puts a certain kinds of months and starts them in certain sections of the calendar. That's what a dispensation means. I borrowed it as a term from other stuff, but basically we're in dispensation 3. And in dispensation 3, whether I'm on October 4th, whether it's Tishrei 4, whether it's Rabi al-Thani, that's the Islamic month, Rabi al-Thani 4, it's going to be here. Any 4th in this dispensation, it's going to be right here, box number 24. And why is that interesting? Okay. Remember the rule of the PL-89, the slide. What happens if I slide it over? Let's slide it over. 24, and what do I see? 32. We read Hazinu today. Let me ask you this. Pop quiz for myself too, but I know the answer, so it's not a pop quiz. But anyway, what chapter in Deuteronomy is Hazinu? I bet you can guess it based on the PL-89. You guessed it. It's 32. How is it that on the 4th of October, Saturday, when we read Hazinu, and the Hazinu is only chapter 32, there's no other chapters. It's only chapter 32. Hazinu, I think, is the only parsha that is a whole chapter and that's it. I'm going to check. If you don't mind, I'm going to check and see that it's true. I'll be right back. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Okay. The answer is yes. I have confirmed it. Parshas Hazinu is exactly chapter 32. And let's see here. Vayelech is exactly okay, Netzavim is not. It's broken up. Most of the parshas in a Chumash, if you look at a Chumash, which is like the Hebrew 5 books of Moses, you're going to see that a lot of the parsha, let's say parsha, the first parsha, Bereshit, let's say, it's comprised of many chapters, and some of them come in the middle of a chapter, like Noah, Parshas Noach. It comes like middle of a chapter. It's not. It doesn't just always start a chapter. It comes like Noah. Let's see here. Noah starts in chapter 6, verse 9. Okay, so it's very rare that a parsha is just a whole chapter, but you have that last week in Vayelech, which is around Rosh Hashanah time. It's like Shabbos Shuva, like between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. And Hazinu, I have it right here. Hazinu is 52 verses, and Deuteronomy chapter 32 is 52 verses, and that's the whole Parsha Hazinu. Okay? So going back to the PL-89 calendar, so what I'll do is I'll look at my PL-89 Gematriatic Quantum Thought Calendar, and I'll say, today was August 4th, and I slide one box over, and on August 4th they read chapter 32. See, 24, after comes 32. And then, okay, so I hear the skepticism coming. I hear it right now. It's my own skepticism. I mean, but it's other people's too. Very good. You found a really neat quinky dink. You found a really neat thing that it's the 4th, and on the 4th they read chapter 32. But this is 2025, and it's year 5786. Next year, it's not going to be that. Next year, it's not going to be August 4th, and they're going to read Hazinu on October, 13th, or September 29th, or whatever it is, whenever they read it. So, how are you saying that this is something that is viable, or ironclad, or like really cool, or neat, and like predictive, which this year it is, but it doesn't apply to every year. It doesn't apply to every year. And that's a really good question, but the only answer that I could say is that's where the dispensations come in. The dispensations is the art and the mathematics and the science of how the configurations move. See, the reason why October 4th happens to be in box 24, which makes it that it's next to Hazinu, which is reading chapter 32 of Deuteronomy, it's because we are in dispensation 3 right now. Again, I'll explain dispensations in a different video. I've explained them before, but the dispensations tell you when you do the start point. It tells you, because this is based on 3 months, and you have 4 of them in a year. So where do you start the calendar from? So that's where the dispensations come in. The dispensation 1 starts. I'm just going to use astrological terms, and I'll explain them differently. The mutable months start here in dispensation 1, and it goes mutable, cardinal, fixed, 10-day twilight, mutable. Okay, that's dispensation 1. But dispensation 2, it goes cardinal, fixed, mutable, 10-day twilight, cardinal. Okay, and you start from here. And dispensation 3 that we're in right now, it goes fixed, mutable, cardinal, 10-day twilight, fixed. So if you know where to start, and you know all the readings or any like spectrum of information you're trying to analyze, that will be where the skill comes in, is where to set the dispensation. You have to know where to set the dispensation. So it happens to be in this dispensation. I'm looking to find what makes it that this dispensation makes this month match up with this reading. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of math and science and just knowledge. You have to know what the readings are, and not only that, you have to get a feeling for when to do. Like, like in your computer, you have different settings. You can put on this setting and that setting. A dispensation is a setting, and if you can understand the character, the quality of the dispensation, then you'll know what setting to put it on, and then you'll know. Then it will match up perfectly. Then you might get into predictive things. Again, I think it's just to not to belabor the point, but I don't think that this will work to predict financial things. But it might. Who knows? If it did, I think it would lend itself to a lot of greed and selfishness, and I don't think that's what it's for. If it's meant to to bring peace and reconciliation and light, then that's counter to the desire to want to predict the market and get money. But who knows? The future is open at this point.